Good morning, everyone. You can be seated. Let me first say a couple words about the events this weekend that occurred in Russia. Let me just say that the Rogers administration is closely monitoring the situation in Russia and are concerned about the status of the government over there. And so, again, we're closely monitoring it. So I'm going to say right now on that. And we're watching along with all our allies and the rest of the world of what's happening over in Russia. But this morning, I'm here to talk about education. You know, yesterday there was talk about infrastructure and about the internet. I want to talk this morning about human infrastructure and why it's so important to our country. That human infrastructure are our children. Our children that are in public schools, that are in charter schools, that are in private schools. The children that are in these schools are the future of our country and, in fact, the world. Today, I'm going to go over and outline with you a few steps that my administration will undertake as part of an education plan. There'll be more details available in the coming days about that, but let's start from the very beginning. And I'd like to say that I have the good fortune of being married to a full-time educator. And for over 20 years, Andrea has served in the classrooms as an elementary teacher. Earlier in marriage, she wanted to teach summer school. After teaching a full school year, she said at that time she did it for the extra pay. At the end of summer school, as the fall term approached and summer school winded down, she was tired, not fully charged, and ready to take on another 9 months of school. How do we solve a problem that Andrea has? How do we solve that situation? Today, I want to talk to you and outline about a plan that I believe will solve not only Andrea's problem, but many teachers throughout our nation's problem. The primary problem that we have in our classrooms right now is teacher retention. The classrooms have become revolving doors. And one of the number one reasons it has is teacher pay. You know, I'm friends with a lot of teachers, and I have to laugh about this. This one sticker that's on the on people's laptops. You know, you put them on your laptops for decorations, and her sticker says, "I'm a teacher because of the stardom, or the fame and the money." Well, it's definitely not the money. How do we solve that though? How do we keep teachers in the classroom? And how do we give them a livable wage? There are other stories that there are teachers who spend 50 plus hours in a classroom but are living on the poverty level. Living on the poverty level. How do we solve that? Well, here's what I would do under my administration. The first thing that we would do is cut federal spending. We would reduce the federal budget back to the 2019 spending levels, reduce unnecessary federal programs, and use the difference to fund the increases. Now you're saying you're just moving money around. Well, we sort of are in a way, but we're moving it to where it needs to be. The differences in this in the budget will be used to fund teacher increases, teacher salary increases. Now, I know that, and there's going to be a lot of talk about this. I know that that teacher pay is not controlled by the federal government. I understand that. I get that. But there will be grants available that will help subsidize at the state level, will help subsidize these increases in teacher pay. The second thing we must do in our classrooms is to return a true curriculum to the classroom. We must get rid of this so-called woke curriculum and return to teaching the ABCs, teaching history, teaching the good, the bad, and the ugly of our nation's history. Every student in these classrooms throughout our country needs to understand the history of not only our nation, but the world. The good things and the bad things. It's by knowing the bad things that we will learn not to repeat them again. We must return a sense of patriotism to our classrooms. One of my biggest memories of school was when I was in high school. I had a government teacher who was from a different political party, but that's okay. But during my high school years, even though he was from another political party, you didn't really know that because he never pushed his party's agenda on his students. What he taught you the importance of how government works. He taught you the importance of how to serve in your community and how to serve in your nation. And like I said, he taught you to serve, to want to serve your community and your nation. And I can think of just back home in Texas, our mayor of my hometown is a disciple of Mr. Hickey. I think you've heard me talk about him several times in speeches. But she's a disciple of Mr. Hickey, and she is now the mayor of my hometown. And she has told me on several occasions it's because of Mr. Hickey that the way he instilled that sense of patriotism, that sense of pride, that sense of wanting to give back to one's community. That's the reason she's mayor of our community. And that's so important. Being involved, giving back. There's a saying of much is given, much is required, and I truly believe that we need to give back to our communities. We need to give back to our cities and our states and to our countries. The other aspect of this program has to deal with child nutrition. And I know it's been revamped numerous times over the past few years. But every day, our children get up and get ready for school. They go to school and they arrive hungry. They go to school and oftentimes look at the meal, be it lunch, be it breakfast, that's being given at the cafeteria, and throw it in the trash. We must improve child nutrition. Under my administration, we will improve child nutrition. When you go to class hungry, it makes it awful difficult to learn. And so with teacher pay, with teaching the basics, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, and child nutrition, we're going to be heading down the right path to restoring our education system to the way it needs to be. We must take pressure off our classroom teachers. while at the same time keeping our standards up. Now, I'm not saying at all to back off. People will sometimes misinterpret that and say he's saying to back off and just not have any standards. No. What I'm saying, though, is in some states, standardized tests are being held over the teachers. It is time that we use standardized testing as a measurement of where our children are so that we know how, the educators know how to fix the deficits. In many states, our nation's teachers are pressured to teach the test, not teach the actual subject. Think about it. In social studies, there's so much. If you get a good social studies teacher like I had in Mr. Hickey many years ago, this is way before standardized testing was the way it is. But you think about back in those days, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did today, because today you have to teach a certain curriculum. And I get that. I understand that. But we also need to make that extra part of it part of the curriculum, but not hold the success of our students over our teachers' heads. That's another reason why we're getting a lot of turnover in our classrooms. You know, teachers, and I should know this firsthand, teachers, everybody thinks teachers have got this great schedule. 7:45 to 3:15, all the summers off, you know. But let's look at the real, true inside story of this. A teacher, in fact, yes, they will arrive at school, sometimes 7:15, sometimes 7:30. Their day will last oftentimes till 6 p.m. based on after-school activities, based on faculty meetings, other things that they do. When the teacher gets home at night, they have home grades to put in computers. They have tests to write. They have probably about another 30 hours of work in the course of a week to do. And you think, you know, right now we're at the end of June. There's many teachers throughout our country that are teaching summer school, and the teachers are not all at the beach relaxing. A lot of them are taking required continuing education in-service training for the summer. So our teachers do a lot in this country, and they deserve the right pay. But getting back to the standardized testing, under my administration, that will not end, but what will end is holding the test over our teachers' heads. You know, if we fix these items that I talked about this morning, if we fix these items and go back to teaching what we need to teach in our classrooms, increase teacher pay. You know, just the other day, I'm thinking about this. Just the other day, there was reports that came out on the national level that math and reading scores are down between 5 and 8 points nationwide. Well, why is that? We have to fix the problem. And the way to go about fixing that problem is going down the path I've talked about today. Increase teacher pay, improve child nutrition, not holding standardized testing up over the teachers' heads. You do these three things, I guarantee our schools will turn around and our nation will turn around. I've said this many times before. You may not think about it, but walk into an elementary school and walk down a kindergarten or a first grade hall. You don't think about it, but in those classrooms are the future of our nation. We owe it to them to prepare them for the future. Because one day we will turn this country over to them. They will be the next generation. And we owe it to them to have them prepared for that next generation in that years to come. So may God bless you. May God bless our troops. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.